common issue within the spirit of this age is going down so many different wormholes about the nature of our reality that we end up accidentally black pilling ourselves. So today I'm going to be explaining exactly what a black pill is. By now, many of us are familiar with the term red pill and blue pill from the now famous movie, The Matrix. In that movie, the red pill represents going down the rabbit hole and finding out the truth about the nature of our reality in all of its horrors and a little bit of its glory. And the blue pill in that movie represents the choice of going back to sleep, forgetting you were even brought to that choice point where you were going to choose to either take the red pill or not, and just living your life the way that you were before you were even given that option. And so within this context now, we see people who are going through massive spiritual awakenings using this reference of there being a red pill or a blue pill, and I'm here for it. Now, when it comes to the black pill, this is a slang term that's been needed to come into fruition because of there being an issue with us taking, let's say, too much of a dose of that red pill, of that awakening to the truth of our reality. And so the black pill is a term now that comes into our collective awareness to reference when we have gone down the reality wormhole of the darker nature of this reality to the extent that we are now caught in a negative feedback loop. We are now creating our reality from accidentally a negative feedback loop, and we're stuck in that creation cycle. So what a black pill means is when we have taken that option of awakening to the truth of our reality so far that now we've become paranoid, and now we only honor and we only validate truth when it is centered around a very negative perspective and a very negative truth. And so you see, it has burnt our nervous system. It has rewired our nervous system to the extent now to where what we're seeing is the connections within our body, mind, spirit, only validating any form of truth if it is absolutely horrific and it induces more paranoia or just fear porn, as they say. So you can equate the black pill with fear porn, where it's not even like we're in fear anymore. We're so here for it. We're so available. We're so ready for the darker nature of reality and anything that represents negative aspects of truth, that we're not even in a fear that we can perceive anymore. And so when we're not even in fear of this nature of reality, we no longer even perceive ourselves as being addicted to fear porn. And so when it comes to this fear porn and negative feedback loop, that is what induces us to now have taken the black pill, where we can't see anything positive. We can't actually become the answer, the solution to all of the negative horrors in the world, because our nervous system is too stuck at that point to be able to discern the difference between positive and beneficial truths, or them just all being anything that is of a positive, supportive, loving, beneficial nature, just being some sort of manipulation or trap. To further complicate this, so much positivity that's induced into the spirit of this age is actually a trap. If you'd like to know more about that topic, you can watch my video on it titled The False Light Deception. So when our nervous system has been black-pilled and we are stuck inside a negative feedback loop, and we're addicted subconsciously to fear porn, and we can only validate, honor, recognize, and perceive negativity in whatever variation as being valid and truthful, that is not a totally hopeless state, even though it looks that way. The nervous system and the body-mind-spirit complex has been energetically shut down into a state where it's in recycling circuitry. So because of that, it is stuck, perpetuating the same reality that it is learning about and having such resistance to, as well as it's manifesting that into their life. So many times you see people getting a confirmation that they are speaking the truth, or a confirmation that they are right, only validated through the fact they're being attacked. Now listen, if anyone is concerned with speaking truth, whether it's positive, negative, gray, in between, it doesn't matter. You will be targeted in some form or another. You will have to deal with some sort of metaphysical or physical type of conflict, and that is unavoidable. So I am not saying that if you're 100% aligned, you will not have a mirror or a reflection in your physical reality of being attacked. But we still can't use that as the litmus test. We still cannot use being drawn forth through attack, being, oh, we are accurate, we are speaking the truth. And anyone who's not being attacked means they are not speaking the truth, because conflict is pointed in all directions. Conflict is being attracted to and drawn to truth and everything that is of a conflicting truthful nature and everything in between. So if you're trying to seek purity, that is also an extreme that you will not see in this reality, as well as the opposite, which is confirmation biased, that you're only speaking the truth if you're being horribly attacked. You can get attacked by the Matrix to teach you what is judgment versus what is discernment, or to inspire you to move out of an outdated way of being, or because you are positively impacting other people, or even to protect you, or because your energy field is in complete dissonance. Everyone will attract the Matrix's eyes on them, and for very different reasons. Some because they did not connect their knowledge to the vertical plane in order to spiritualize their understanding. Others will get attacked because they are attracting the very unconsciousness and denial that is inside of them, and that has nothing to do with truth. Others because they are speaking the truth, but are doing so in a way that is triggering the darkness inside people and within the system. It's not that enlightened beings don't ever get attacked, it's just that they are not using it to validate their ego or confirm their truth. They simply extract the wisdom gained from it and shrug it off. So, an enlightened being doesn't avoid attack, but nor do they seek it. And in truth, I have a very large and endearing soft spot in my heart for people who have been black-pilled, because I think it's a more advantageous space to be in than taking the blue pill, shall we say. If we're just gonna go back to sleep because we don't want any part of this, versus if we fell too hard down a negative feedback loop, I think the more admirable approach would to have been to be able to go into the depths of the negativity within this reality, because you could always heal the body, mind, spirit complex and the nervous system into a more centered, balanced, and neutral state and step into your creator self. But if you never explore that depth, if you never explore that range, if you cannot handle that level of truth in the first place, then that leaves you in a weaker energetic space. That means that we are in some form, in some way, just really committed to whatever worldview that we're trying to protect and we're trying to defend and maintain, so that we don't have it fall apart and start seeing that darker nature and truth within reality. Now, I'm not saying you have to be black-pilled in order to be a powerful creator. I'm just saying that if we're looking at extremes, I'd prefer people being in such a open, heart-centered space that they're going more into their warrior aspects, going more into that awakened heart center that reveals righteous indignation at all of the different levels of horror within this world. I find a lot more compassion to be in that state of willingness versus a state of just shut down and blind ability to deceive oneself, or what we call denial. So when it comes to black pilling too, we don't want to have such resistance to this concept that we can't pull in some nuance, that we can't pull in some objectivity and see that it might not be the worst place to be in if it's a part of a person's spiritual awakening journey. And yet, it is still absolutely important that we are aware of this, because many people can get stuck for a whole lifetime being black-pilled and then trying to aggressively black-pill others without not even knowing it, with thinking fully that they're coming from the best of intentions. So when it comes to righteous indignation is the fertile soil of conscious action. So there's nothing wrong with righteous indignation. That's actually a sign of an awakened heart center. An awakened heart center has a bias, and that bias is towards love. Love has an expression called freedom. So when a person is in righteous indignation over whatever they're learning about within the world, what has happened is they have tapped deeply into the unified field of consciousness, meaning they care about more than just themselves. They care about others. And so when you're tapped into that unified field of consciousness, that's going to express itself imperfectly. It is not going to express itself perfectly all at once. It is going to express itself as anger, because that's what care is. And the generative principle of this reality is based off of care. If you'd like to learn more about that, you can watch my video on that titled The Occult Anatomy of the Heart. So the occult anatomy of our heart space is one that we call, in the occult traditions, care, because that's when consciousness and sentience merge. Consciousness isn't cold. It's not automatic. It's not mechanical. It has an order to it, and that order is one of love. So love is expressed as freedom. Now, when we see, by being black-pilled, just how much people are not free, or just how much oppression is happening, that is the fertile soil. That righteous indignation is a symptom of an awakened and awakening heart center. And that is the beautiful soil that will eventually produce conscious action. It might not produce it right away if we're stuck in a negative feedback loop through being black-pilled. But if we can heal the body, mind, spirit from that state of being black-pilled, that's the fertile soil that will create that conscious action. And all of this spirit of this age, whether we're looking at a type of manipulation going on intentionally in the world, or whether we're looking at some sort of different psyopses infused into the spiritual and conscious community, it doesn't matter which way you turn. What is trying to be targeted is conscious action. So consciousness and sentience combined are called care. And care is what all of existence comes from. When we are awakening to reality, care will be activated, and that will direct us to take actions about what we care about. The reason taking conscious action seems so obscure and difficult for us to understand is because so many actions we take will actually just help the very things and the very systems that we oppose. Many times we think we are taking conscious action, but that action was not fully informed, and it was not fully aware. So it backfired and feeds the opposition. Conscious action is an action that will make the current slave-based reality obsolete. So it is an action that creatively changes the paradigm we live in. I'm going to share a few ideas of what conscious action looks like. One person might feel inspired to take conscious action by replacing the connection between slavery and clothes or fast fashion. They might use their creative talent toward ethical fabric and ethical manufacturing so that we can stop pretending we are free when our whole society is literally built on another person's slavery. And another person might feel called to use their creative talent toward awakening people through comedy or start a podcast. Another will use their creative talent to think big picture and create ethical infrastructure. Another will use their creative talent to make a documentary about human trafficking. Another will feel called to bring forward healing modalities or health-based services. In fact, many people will use their creative talent toward health-based products of all varieties. Conscious action is one of the main things that all beings who are awakening need to awaken to. It's this discernment around what conscious action is, what a healthy action that's representing the care and the knowledge and the awakenings we've gone through, but in a way to where it's not leading towards blackpilling other people, not blackpilling our audiences, not blackpilling whoever, our family. It doesn't matter who. It's about going through that ability to perceive what the best actions we have available to us would be in any given moment that do serve both the all as well as our own personal evolution. So it's going to look different for each person, and there's no guidelines for this. So it's okay if it doesn't look perfect. It's okay if it looks messy, because we're not starting at the standards for taking conscious action at, is it entirely aligned? Instead, we're looking at what is the best actions that I have available to me, that are accessible to me in this moment, that are representing a higher awareness, higher consciousness around the fact that there are such a thing as psyopsis to create negative feedback loops. So just as there are issues with being blinded by the light, as we say, where we just can't see anything else unless it's of an extraordinarily positive nature. And so both of these ways that we can have our attention manipulated into believing that we are taking conscious action, when in reality, we're just taking actions that are based off of whatever biased, whatever dissonance our consciousness is currently leaning towards, will be one of the things that we have to integrate within this age, so that we're not expecting perfection from our conscious actions, but that we're always doing our best with our awareness in the moment to be able to see what that would mean to us in a way that's compassionate for us, so that we're not hard on ourselves, but that at the same time is being imbued with that awareness. Anytime we see terms for spiritual awakening that become popular get put into the exoteric sphere, meaning the mainstream sphere of reality, it's bound to be twisted and turned into whatever version they want to call a deeper meaning esoteric term. So in the mainstream, black pill means something else, something more about a socio-political viewpoint. And so I am not speaking about the black pill in that exoteric form. I'm speaking about a black pill from the esoteric sphere. So in the esoteric sphere, it's not regarding one socio-political point over the other. It's not even operating at that level of frequency. It's talking in general about deep rites of passage that a being may experience, and helping give context to what's happening within that level of reality. And so when it comes to this concept of being black-pilled, what you'll see is that the main feature isn't what socio-political group you're coming from. The main feature is being stuck in a state where you can't see any beneficial, positive, even neutral, or objective viewpoints that are different to or beyond your current nervous system's capacity. This is where things that become most beneficial would be things about being trauma-informed, trauma awareness around how the nervous system gets stuck in states of survivalism and hypervigilance and fear. And so with that, we start seeing how beneficial it is that healing is a part of the assignment of this age. Healing the nervous system, healing the psyche, healing the spirit. All of these are so important to be able to incorporate into our consciousness. And it will never matter how much truth, awareness, and knowledge that a being accumulates if they are stuck in the state of being black-pilled, because that shuts down a person's vital life force and their spirit so hard that all of the knowledge, truth, and awareness that they sought by going into that state won't even be able to be applied in its highest capacity, in its most correct form. And when it comes to being in this state of black-pilled, we're more inclined to be very concerned with getting other people black-pilled just like us. And so one of the other features, how you'll be able to tell that a person is black-pilled, is if they really want to make sure that everyone around them is at their state of being black-pilled. Now, this does not mean to shut down a person's inner warrior. We need our inner warrior to help with being able to create, call forward, manifest that new positive reality, that new earth. That's not what I'm talking about here. There's a difference between a person's inner warrior, which we all have, especially if you are going through a spiritual awakening, versus being in a black-pilled state. In one state, our spiritual warrior is concerned with disseminating truth. In a black-pilled state, they're not just concerned with disseminating truth. They are 1000% fixated on jamming black pills down every other person's throat and then going after anyone who does not have that consciousness stuck in a state of being black-pilled as well. Trying to drag you into it by all of this different, half-baked, fear-induced logic. Like if you're saying anything objective or neutral or in a state of nuance, then that means that you are some form or another being deceitful or manipulative. That's how a black-pilled individual will think, because their mind is so broken, they can't actually have any neuroplasticity, any flexibility, any nuance, therefore can't be in a higher state of consciousness, especially one like enlightenment. So these are the three features that you can be most aware of to identify whether you or someone else has been black-pilled. And the fourth feature I would throw in there is they can't take a joke. One unsurprising anticlimactic feature about being black-pilled is fearing the color black. We see this all the time with people who are either from a beginner's mindset into the esoteric, as well as just black-pilled individuals who don't know much about the spiritual at all. What we'll see is them fearing the color black. And so even though black represents darkness, and in this setting, it especially represents evil, there's also the exalted form of the color black, just like how there's a false light and then we have enlightenment. There's a polarity to all things within this reality. And when it comes to black, the black or dark mysteries, the black creative void from which light was birthed from, is the exalted form of darkness, and in this case, the color black. But we might not even have that connection, that reference point to the color black if we're coming from a very beginning neophyte mindset into the spiritual or into the esoteric, as well as if we're just shut down in a fear, self-creating, self-induced reality, such as with being black-pilled. So at that point, we fear the color black, and we only equate it with being dark or evil. And therefore, anyone who wears black is being equated with being dark or evil, simply because we fear that color because of our projections and our own associations with it. The deeper we go now into our own spiritual development, you will see that black is welcomed for being the totality of all the different colors. We see it as the void, which is why creatives have such a connection to the color black. You'll never see a person who's creative, a creator, be scared of black. You'll see them, in fact, wear it more because they have an affinity with that creation of that chaos and that void from which light is birthed. I hope this has helped you take the red pill, but be cool about it. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for higher dimensional guidance through spiritual awakening. See you next time.